Hi, this is Laura Lively with Payments Ed, and I am very excited today because we are kicking off the inaugural Innovation Showcase. We know that 2020 has been a year, and there's not really kind of the opportunities potentially to be able to meet people with, with that might have some great solutions that you might need for your company. And one of the things we're going to be doing over these next few months is introducing some very special services to you. These are our advisors on the Payments Ed board. And what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to have Recurly, Danielle Gatkus, and her team, as well as Brian he's a merchant, he's with Output. And so we're excited that you guys are going to share your story and a case study with us today. And so what we will do is towards the end, when there's time for Q&A, if you all can chat those to me, then that will be great. So I'm just going to turn this over to Danielle.
All right, thank you so much, Laura. We're delighted to be here. We have about an hour-long session designed for today. Brian and I are going to have about half an hour conversation about Output, about how he started experimenting with payments as a GM at Output. And later we will migrate to a demo with Danny Stein, our internal expert in showcasing the platform. So without further ado, Brian, will you please tell us a little bit about yourself and Output?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me. So I am the general manager at a company called Output. We make music production software. So music producers, film composers, musicians use our products to make music. We started in 2013 with selling perpetual license software. You would pay $200 and get your product and you'd be on your way. And in 2018, we launched a subscription product called Arcade. And that's what leads us here to today. And my role in the company has really been, as general manager, it's quite broad. I am handling, general all operations of the company, HR, finance, and when the time came for payments, it ended up in my lap, and I've been the de facto payments expert at the company. And I was the one who brought on Recurly and Adyen and such. So yeah, and here we are.
Very good, very good. So I have a number of questions for you, but I realize that some of the folks in the audience may not necessarily be aware or know who Recurly is. So let me give everybody a quick plug, and then we can migrate into the Q&A. So Recurly, we're a subscription management and billing platform. We work with some of the most innovative and fastest growing subscription companies in the world. Output is obviously one of those. That's why we have them here. But some of our other customers include CBS Interactive, now Viacom, Sling TV, Twitch, BarkBox and FabFitFun, Cinemark, ChartMogul, Unbounced, Lucidchart, and many others. Some of the things we specialize in as part of offering this comprehensive platform include capabilities for subscription lifecycle management. This is where a merchant can set up their pricing and plans and different kind of add-ons and offer coupons and gift cards and manage all of those efficiently, test them easily, and so on. We also have a slew of capabilities to automate recurring billing and payment operations, supporting fixed and variable and metered and even one-time and quantity-based billing models, offering also robust tax support capabilities, and so on. And our bread and butter is minimizing involuntary churn. This is going to be a big topic of conversation for us today. We know churn is a huge problem for subscription-based companies, and involuntary churn specifically because this is where you have subscribers who actually love your product leave because of a payment failure. So we're going to be digging into this further in our conversation with Brian and further down in the demo with Danny Stein. All right, Brian, so back to you. You've mentioned you were the only payments specialist at Output until recently. So this was probably one of the reasons you have chosen Recurly. I'd love to understand what kind of efficiencies and agility did Recurly give you as the sole person who managed payments, the current payments at Output until recently.
Yeah, sure. So it's probably good to understand how we got there and a bit of the origin story. So when we launched our subscription product, we launched using WooCommerce subscriptions, and we had Braintree and PayPal as for processing payments. When we launched in June 2018, we put a 100-day trial on the subscription to try to bring, as a marketing idea, to bring in as many users as we possibly could. Well, what ended up happening is late September 2018, we started billing and everything started failing. Incredibly high decline rate. We had very little insight into what was truly happening with those payments. We had little functionality in terms of dunning, analytics, and so that created the sprint of, okay, we need to fix this and get a control on involuntary churn, and then also get control on subscription management and a bit more reliability, I would say. And so that led us to Recurly, mainly for a few different reasons. One, the reliability factor of being able to bill on a regular basis without any type of hiccups, and also payment strategy and having options to create a payment strategy. So yeah, that's so since then we've been utilizing a variety of Recurly's payment options, right? With gateway routing and having multiple gateways and A/B testing gateways against each other. Quite a variety of things. So and then up until recently, we now are starting to build a payments team to then take those tools and really focus on them on a daily basis to continue the progress of improving involuntary churn. And so yeah, it was a mixture of, it was a moment of this needs to be fixed. We need a solid partner here. And then from there, let's utilize everything we can.
Right. And then I recall when we were preparing for this, you chose WooCommerce because you're operating the rest of your store, the rest of your offerings through WooCommerce, which was a great fit for that purpose, but not necessarily for subscription management.
Yeah, it was. I would say so. That's exactly right. I mean, our website, it operates on WooCommerce. That's how we sell our other software, and we have some hardware products. So when it came time to do subscription, we're like, hey, it's already built into our site. We can add WooCommerce subscriptions. I would say it's not a platform for scale, right? It's and that's when we start having issues, is when you reach a large volume. It couldn't handle. So yeah, that's why we started there. It was simply the simple solution where our website was at the time.
We see this very often with a variety of customers who come into us because they either have a solution that they've built internally that worked well for them until they've reached a certain threshold of a payment volume, or because they're migrating from a traditional retail or one type of a sale environment into a recurring or into a subscription model where their previous solution no longer works. So sounds like a pretty common use case. We've talked quite a bit about your the way you've been testing different gateways. I know you've done quite a number of A/B tests. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, as well as trying new payment methods? I think that's another thing you've done quite a bit. It's Gore cardless, SEPA, I believe, versus ACH. So walk us through that, please.
Yeah, sure. So shortly after moving to Recurly, we wanted to take advantage of the payment gateway routing, which is the ability to route a transaction to any gateway you would want for whatever reason. And so the first test we did actually was Adyen versus CyberSource. We ran it for about a month. It was pretty clear of who the winner was, and we ended up How we ran that test was simply at the time of subscription sign up, 50% went to Adyen, 50% went to CyberSource, and we assigned basically the gateway code, the Recurly gateway code of each of those via the API, and that's how it then Recurly automatically funneled those transactions. So we just ran 50-50 for about a month, and then went back and started reviewing results. It was quite clear what the winner was in that scenario. We've also A/B tested in a similar fashion transactions in Spain as Adyen versus Vantiv. Mainly, we were trying to identify a country where there was significant, a pretty low auth rate on the transaction. So see, could we edge it up? And we ran that for probably 3 months, and then reviewed the stats. And we've done, in terms of alternative payment methods, we've been experimenting with, most recently, GoCardless. GoCardless became a partner of Recurly this spring, and so we jumped on that for the ability of, GoCardless focuses on direct debit transactions. So we started with SEPA, which we launched in July of this year, and also ACH, which we launched in August. And the idea, thinking that a direct debit transaction would have a higher success rate over time versus a credit card transaction or a PayPal transaction. We're still a little early to determine if that remains true. But we're trying to focus on what are the local payment methods, what's preferred in each territory. Another example is we've experimented with prepaid cards in Italy and accepting them, not accepting them, what type of prepaid cards. 75%, I believe, of their transactions in the country are prepaid. And so we're trying to take it from a territory by territory basis and look at what are the preferred payment methods, what do we have at our disposal, and just chipping away, right? And testing and seeing what works. And if it doesn't work, we stop doing it and keep moving on. If it does work, we double down.
Yeah. I recall you were talking about prepaid cards because, in the beginning, you had quite a number of users who were on prepaid cards, right, that you've determined to either discontinue or to migrate. So walk us through that, please.
Yeah, sure. So when we moved, involuntary was a massive issue before moving to Recurly. And when we moved to Recurly, we saw a significant decline in involuntary churn, which was really, I think, attributed to the smart retry logic inside of Recurly, having more payment methods, really kind of tightening up our payment stack, helped our success rate overall. But shortly after moving to Recurly, we were then continuing to analyze what are the payments that are failing and what characteristics are there between them. And we saw prepaid cards were a significant problem. If we were to not accept prepaid cards, we could cut much of this in half. So what we did is we worked with Adyen through their fraud tools, and we blocked prepaid cards. However, we did not want to block any prepaid card that was successful prior to that action. So we then took all of the transactions or accounts, I would say, inside of Recurly that were successfully paying using a prepaid card, identified them, and then changed their gateway codes inside of Recurly from Adyen to Braintree, because we were working with Braintree on our WooCommerce store. We just added it as a gateway, moved all those accounts over so that they would not be affected by this fraud block, and then initiated the fraud block and then stopped collecting prepaid cards while the older prepaid cards were continuing to try. And it worked quite well. And then what we've evolved on that, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, is in Italy, we are now accepting prepaid cards, but only reloadable prepaid cards. And so we're still a little bit early to see if what the true results of that are. But it's another lever we're playing with.
Right. So since you've been doing a lot of this testing and iterating, testing different gateways, right, testing different payment methods, how easy is it to do all of this through Recurly?
Yeah, it's quite simple, really. It kind of depends on what you're doing, right? It's very easy to move transactions from one gateway to another by currency, for example, or by type of card. We had in the early days, actually, when we first did Recurly, we onboarded Adyen. I had not realized that JCB was not activated inside of our Adyen account. Adyen was then the primary gateway in Recurly. JCB transactions just started failing immediately. But however, JCB was approved at the time for Braintree. So as an urgent method, I simply deselected JCB from the Adyen gateway, selected it on Braintree, and then retried all those payments, and they just rerouted and all went through successfully. So those types of actions are incredibly quick, and by currency is incredibly quick. The gateway testing and routing is done. We do it through the API on our side of our website. So our developer is the one programming and writing the code to make that happen. And when we've had to change gateway codes, our programmer does the same thing. He just changes the scripts. We give him a bunch of account codes, and he runs a script with the gateway change, and then he gives us a thumbs up, and then we make sure that it was actually working. But we've never had a hiccup.
Yeah. We love hearing that, for sure. And Daniel, later on in the demo, will be able to show you some of this as well, so you can see how very user-friendly and intuitive the interface is. Great. So as part of this, test and iterate, analytics plays a big role. So would love to learn, and would love our audience to hear, what kind of dashboards are you using, specific data that you're looking at. Please tell us.
Yeah, sure. So the trial performance view inside of Recurly is really, I would say, that the bread and butter for us. We're really looking. There's probably two main dashboards inside of Recurly that we use very frequently: is trial performance and also billing. So trial performance, we're looking on a daily view. We're paying attention to the payment column of which payments are currently in dunning, what is and during that dunning process, we can kind of see a trend and see if anything went wrong at any moment. Like, is there something significantly wrong with whatever it may be, like a gateway, or we can dunning process, and we can then, by looking at the trial performance daily view, we can see every single day the current status of dunning, and that is incredibly helpful. And there's been a few moments where there's been a red flag of, okay, why is today suddenly way higher on this particular day that's in dunning? So we use that very, very frequently. And we're also use, for Recurly, on these reports, you can export. And so what we're doing quite often is we then look in the daily view, get a quick view, hit export, and then we can dive deep into Excel and start doing our pivot tables and stuff. And then billings as well, as we can look at a previous period and see where we stand any day on revenue. That's incredibly helpful.
So you're using a combination of our out-of-the-box reporting as well as your own.
Yeah, I think it just depends what type of what granular detail you want that particular day, or what you're trying to solve for. So in terms of a daily basis, we're just looking at the analytics, and we can look at a monthly view, I believe it's weekly view or daily view. We often look daily, and then when there's a particular item that we want to dive deeper on, we can hit export and start possibly merging that data with another system and so on and so forth, and starting to analyze our entire business, right? Performance in the product is another example.
Yeah, so I bet your product team, not just you yourself, but right, your product team is probably looking quite a bit at plan performance, subscriber metrics, things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and so we are now we're getting our data stack under control, and we recently moved to BigQuery to warehouse data. We use Amplitude to measure product analytics. We're now connecting the dots of Recurly data, Amplitude data, understanding activity inside of the product, how that is affected by who these people are, when do they sign up, are their subscriptions active, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that is an area that we are actively improving, and what we're doing is pulling Recurly data into BigQuery so that we can then visualize it and mix it with other systems. And yeah, it's been very helpful, and we're excited for once it's like the full stack is actually built out.
Great. Another topic we briefly touched on is involuntary churn. And so I know you have recovered around 45% of those customers that would have potentially churned if we weren't able to recover those transactions. And you've been working with us, I think, for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years now, which is so that's pretty incredible. Tell us a little bit what that process entails.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that is, so there was a shelf of improvement, which was when transitioning to Recurly, and so much of that is in the smart retry logic, which was not happening prior to Recurly. Improved dunning, customer communication, and then so there was a shelf of improvement, and then it's the game of inches, right, of running all of these experiments to just kind of edge yourself up one by one. So it's been a mixture of Recurly's native features and behavior of dealing with payments, plus the variety of experiments that I've mentioned that we've been changing, and one by one we continue to improve. And like at the moment, we're seeing a churn increase since COVID, right? Involuntary churn, which I think is probably industry wide, and I'm sure people are discussing. So now we're trying to figure out how much of this is due to COVID and and people's payments just simply failing, or is there a larger issue? Is it an issue tied to growth? Because we've been growing, we've grown 115% year to date. And so there's a lot going on, and I think those two items is what we're trying to figure out. So that's what we are currently hiring a payments team to build out and really try to tackle this problem of okay, let's not lose any ground we gained, and is it in our control? Is it out of our control? Is it like where is it probably a mixture of the two? So yeah, but it's really much of I think payment success is just chipping away at experimenting and making small gains, and then over time it's big gains.
Yeah, and it's a combination of things, right? As you said, it's a combination. It's dunning, it's having a proactive account updater, it's utilizing machine learning models, right? It's optimizing and playing with different gateways. So it's never just one thing, right? So and having those tools at your disposal as part of one platform is also, I think, what makes it successful.
Yeah, and we've also benefited from, there's a relatively new Recurly feature called Gateway Failover, and so
thank you for highlighting it.
Yeah, we have benefited from it where the primary gateway has an outage for a moment, and it will just automatically spit that transaction to a secondary gateway. We've benefited from that a few times, and those items, it plays a big part in the overall picture, right? Like It's not massive. You're not making massive improvements or massive changes. You're making one at a time, and then they compile, and you, at the end of the day, you see a great improvement.
Sure. And that's what it takes to operate at scale, right? You have to optimize and you know, those things one by one, and make those incremental improvements. So absolutely right there. All right, so I think that brings us probably to a time where we would love to invite Danny back to give a demo of Recurly. Danny, are you there with us? And Brian,
I am.
many thanks. Please stick around, because I'm sure there are going to be all kind of questions coming in through the demo, or perhaps even after the demo. We'll have probably 10-15 minutes for that. Please stick around.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I am, my name is Danny Stein. I am a sales manager here at Recurly. I want to share my screen. I think I may need to be changed to the presenter. So Laura, if you wouldn't mind giving me presenter privileges, I can share my screen, do a little demo.
It's on its way to you now.
Perfect. All right. And all right, how's that?
Yes, beautiful.
Okay. All right. Well, again, my name's Danny. Really excited to show you the demo today and get in. I sort of am a nerd out on these things and payments, and been in the payment space for a couple of years now. And so I'm excited to show you some of the things that Brian talked about, and you know, and get into the Recurly platform a little bit, and just kind of show you how easy it is, and how intuitive the UI is. So we can just get started there. And so while we're on the subject of the payment gateways, I think Brian brought up a really, you know, a couple of really great features that Recurly allows you to do pretty intuitively. So we'll use Adyen, because that's the gateway that Brian was alluding to that he used. So we're going to make up some credentials here, but essentially Recurly's already built out all of these integrations for the various gateways. So I go to Adyen, I'm approved by Adyen. Now I can go in here and I can enter my merchant account information and all of that. Am I enabling the gateway? And then, like Brian said, certain credit card types are going to be accepted. Maybe you only want to run certain credit card types through Adyen, and there's other options that you want to keep for other gateways. For example, JCB. So let's unselect JCB, because we're going to run that through Braintree. Then we'll go in, we'll select our currencies. So we're going to accept the USD. We're going to accept Euro as well, and let's accept British Pound as well. So there are, I want to say 122, I believe 125 available currencies in Recurly. And so I don't think we've hit a currency yet that we don't accept. And then you'll go ahead, add payment gateway, and there you go. You're already set up with that gateway. Now, the one of the features that Brian was talking about that's been helpful for him and a number of our merchants is gateway failover. So what this allows you to do is you'll add an additional gateway. So let's call it Braintree in this case. So you have Adyen, and now Adyen, for whatever reason, has 5 minutes where it's down. It'll automatically fail over those payments to Braintree. Then when Adyen's back up, or whatever your primary gateway is, it'll flip back over automatically without you having to do anything. And you know, where this really comes into play is Black Friday's coming up, or Cyber Monday. You know, on the first Sunday of NFL football, there's a lot of transactions running through. 5 minutes down can mean thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars if it's at the right moments, or I should say the wrong moments. So it's really important that that you have that backup, and Recurly is able to provide that for you. So we've set up Adyen as our gateway. Now we can go in and we can configure our plans. So I've created a plan for us, A+ software gold package. Now, Recurly works with a number of industries from B2C to B2B to B2B2C. And software SaaS is a high percentage of those. So I went ahead and created a software plan. So I will go in here and show you what's kind of how you can tinker with the plans and actually add something on here as well. So this is a plan that's going to be charged monthly. It's $2.99 a month, and you can see that we can actually select a specific price if it's US dollars, or maybe it's 315 euro if we're changing it out, or maybe it's less in euro because of the exchange rates. You're able to control all of that within Recurly. You can select the term lengths, all of those sorts of things. And the plan add-ons is really where you get a lot of flexibility in terms of creating that plan. So I went ahead and created an add-on called Seats. So you're able to select different pricing models. So this one's tiered. And so up to 10 seats, it's $50 a seat. From 11 to 20, it's 45, and on and on and on. And you can even go in here and test out, okay, if somebody wanted to buy 35 seats, what would that cost? All right, and it goes through all the different ranges. There's a number of different types of usage-based, and I encourage you to log in there and try it for yourself. But suffice it to say, Recurly is able to handle a number of different usage-based scenarios, or seat-based scenarios and that sort of thing. One of the great features as well is being able to add items. So rather than coming in here and creating a new item for every single plan that you have, you can actually create a various items here. So there's a number of different ones. Let's check item number 1. You can do that as a fixed price tiered, however you want to do it, and it's going to be $200. Now you can add that on as an option. So again, just really highlighting the flexibility and the ability for Recurly to kind of go whichever way you've set up your business. And Recurly is really just the vehicle to enable you to accept payments and make sure that your payments are running properly and you're getting the money that you earned. So again, we've alluded to free trials. You set up a 7-day trial. You can set up to a 100-day free trial. It's up to you, even past 100 days. Setup fees, all of that. Additionally, there's customer emails automatically attached to that plan. So and editable as well. When a customer signs up, that email goes out automatically. Nothing manual you're having to do on your end. So all of those processes are happening seamlessly. So we'll go ahead and save those changes. And now we've created a plan. So, oh, well, I probably did something wrong, regardless. So we've created a plan, and there's a couple of different ways that you can charge your customers. I won't get too deep in the weeds here on how those work, but essentially we offer hosted payment pages. So those are pages hosted by Recurly for you to have a checkout process that would be linked from your page. Or you can utilize Recurly's JavaScript library, or Recurly.js, to create your own custom checkout page, which is what many of our merchants will choose to do to really have that custom checkout flow. I'll give you a little view of what the hosted pages look like. And so, your customers would come on here. You're able to customize this and add a logo and a background color, but they would come in here, they could log in, they could pay from here, and be automatically charged and entered into a subscription. If you do use the JS option, you can make it look however you want. We have merchants from streaming to physical goods to SaaS that are using our Recurly.js to create a customized checkout that matches their brand identity. So really quick, wanted to touch on how our accounts look and all that, and then I'll go ahead and show you our analytics. So Johnny Appleseed went ahead and he signed up for A+ software, the gold package. Now he purchased, let's see, 22 seats with the gold package, obviously for his company. And so you are able to go in here and see the full picture of their subscription right at a glance. You can also see all their charges, their invoices, their transactions. He tried on one credit card and you can see that it failed. Then he went back in entered a new credit card that was successful and the charge went through. You can also edit any billing information here. Let's say he calls into your support line, then they need to fix their credit card. You're able to do that, but even more ideally, you can actually send him a link to update that billing information. Credit card or bank account, really easy. You send that over and it's a PCI compliant, secure field that he's able to enter. Before I move away from the accounts, I wanted to highlight one thing, because we talk a lot about involuntary churn, but Recurly also really supports your business's voluntary churn. So that churn of a customer deciding that they want to move away from the product. And the way that we're able to do that is by offering a couple of different features, but the biggest one is our pause subscription feature. Now, what this allows you to do is pause a subscription. So let's say a international global pandemic hits and you need to pause your service for a number of months because you're not able to provide it. And maybe it's an in-person service, whatever might happen. You can go in here and say, we're going to pause subscription for 6 months. So that's one way you could do that yourself, or a customer could log in. They could say, I just don't know if I'm going to use this service anymore. They log in, and before they go to click cancel, maybe a pop-up comes up and says, would you like to pause instead? They could select to pause for a number of months. Now you're keeping them on the platform, you're keeping them as a customer, but you're also allowing them the time where they don't feel like they're using and they're not getting the service. So rather than losing the customer, you keep them on. After 6 months, it'll automatically bill again. So on June 17th, 2021, billing will resume as normal. So that's one of the ways that we help our customers with voluntary churn.
Yeah, Danny, I'm just going to jump in quickly.
Yeah.
I'm glad you highlighted the specific feature, because this has been hugely popular among a subset of our customers, exactly for the same reasons you've highlighted. The pandemic is here, right? A lot of their venues have been closed, and so customers are not able to visit. And so rather than lose them outright and then try to reacquire them 6, 7, 8 months down the road, right? A lot of them have proactively reached out to their customers and put the pause, put their subscription on pause, generating actually quite a bit of goodwill in the process as well. So.
Yeah. Thanks for highlighting that, Danielle. I think that obviously we created this feature before we knew there'd be a pandemic, but you never know when you're going to need to pause, and so it's been a feature that a lot of our merchants and I've been hearing have been really happy that was available already and have taken advantage of that. So, just to wrap up on customers, you're able to break it out in a number of different ways. You can look through transactions and you can see successful, declined, fraudulent, pending. So a lot of different options that you have here to be able to slice and dice how you look at your customers. Maybe you want to see it just by invoices and what's paid, closed, failed, that sort of thing. So finally, I want to get into our analytics. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have a full suite of analytics that really allow you to see different pieces of your business and how you're doing. So I know that Brian highlighted a couple that he uses a lot. I wanted to give you the visual. I'm a visual learner myself. I can't understand anything unless I see it. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this, the trial performance. So the trial performance is another way that we support our customers with voluntary churn, as well as a better understanding of what are you offering with your free trial. So we see the trial conversion rate, how those trials are doing over a certain time. You can change it out by plan. So maybe your gold plan is the trials are not converting at the rate you would like, but your silver plan have very high conversions. You can start to assess why that might be. Again, and then trial subscription status. So those that converted, those that canceled, they didn't have billing information, they had bad billing information. All of those things will be tracked here, so you can get a good picture as to what how your trials are doing. The next one I wanted to highlight was actually our subscriber retention. So if your subscriber retention heat map looks like this, you're going to have to adjust how you're doing your business. But we wanted to show the full gradient of what it looks like. And what this is showing is by cohort, so those that sign up in March, February, January, how long are your customers staying with the product? So you can get a picture of at 6 months, we're doing great. We have, you know, a relatively high retention rate amongst our customers. But by the 15-month mark, we've lost 60% of our customers. That's not great. We want to be able to retain those customers for years, ideally, so that that lifetime value is increased. So this gives you an idea of, do we have to be maybe making some changes around the 10, 12-month mark to keep those customers on? Are we doing promotional activities, those sorts of things? Brian also alluded to the billings tab, analytics, and so you can see the total net billings and break it out in a couple of different ways as well. So that is, you know, this is very useful just in terms of the day-to-day checking in on the health of the business. Another way to measure our churn is our churn analysis analytics. So you get subscription churn reasons. Why did a customer churn? Canceled, they didn't pay, the trial ended. Could be a whole lot of reasons there. And then you'll also get the voluntary versus involuntary churn rate. And obviously our ideal is that it's looking a lot more like the right side of this chart, where both of those are going down with the support of Recurly and our involuntary churn methods. So our plan performance tab, I won't spend too much time on here, but it gives you an opportunity to A/B test and look head to head with KPIs, how your plans are doing against each other. So one's doing really strongly and another is not. You can start to see what's the growth, what's the churn rate, and get a good picture there. And then our recovered revenue and dunning effectiveness are the last analytics tabs I want to focus on, because this gets to the heart of our retry logic and how we support our customers with involuntary churn. So this is showing you our account updater, retries, and expiration date forwarding, and how those can affect your business and the return that you're getting, the sort of return on investment of Recurly. This is one pretty big piece of it is the recovery. So we recover 70% of all at-risk transactions. So those are transactions where the card has either declined or has expired, or the expiration date is passed, or there is a fraudulent event on the card, and so you have to cancel it and get a new card. We're able to support a lot of those methods through our retry and dunning methods, so that you are not losing customers because a credit card expired. I know that happens to me all the time. My credit card expires, and who knows what I've been subscribed to, and then I have to go back through all of them and re-sign up. This gives you the opportunity to retain those customers without having to reach out. And then finally, our dunning effect.
An interesting piece of data there. Again, I'm jumping in, Danny. Apologies.
Yeah, go ahead.
Apologies for that.
No, go ahead.
Yes, we've actually recently run a test with our data science team, and we've been able to see that subscribers who would have otherwise churned due to failed transactions tend to stay on average for 6 months, right? So you're not just recovering that customer for that 1 month. They tend to say 6 months, right? So it's 6 months of revenue. That's what you're getting there, which is incredible.
Yeah, and it's compounding, right? So yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Danielle. And our data science team would be mad at me mad at us if we didn't bring that up, because they're doing the hard work there. So yeah, so yeah, it's compounding. So it's not just the payment that you save in November; it's the payment that then goes in December and January and February, which is invaluable. So the last one I wanted to touch on is our dunning effectiveness. So dunning is those email notifications you get when a transaction fails. So if our retry methods are unsuccessful in recovering the credit card, we're able to send out emails on your behalf that you're able to customize, that go on a set process that you can change, add emails to, take away emails from, change how the end result is the subscription canceled, or does it stay alive but past due? And all of those things are customizable so that you can try to recover as much as possible as sort of that last step of our recovery process. Now, the cool thing about this analytics tab is you can actually track how well each version of your dunning process is doing. Let's say maybe your dunning emails are not hitting and they're not as successful as you'd like. You can tweak that, the wording, you can tweak how often they go out, and maybe version 2, version 3, those numbers start to go up and up and up, and you can track that along the process and the calendar. So you can kind of get a feel for, okay, this is the type of wording and messaging that we want to use to best recover transactions, because every industry is different, every company is different. The wording is going to have to be different if you're talking to a B2B, if you're a B2B company versus a B2C company. And so we give you that flexibility. And all of that together makes up the Recurly platform. Obviously, it's the tip of the iceberg. You'd have to get in there and really start to click through all of the different features to best understand how it supports your business. But that I wanted to give you a quick snapshot there, and I'll send it back over to Danielle.
All right, very good. Thank you, Danny. Thanks so much. If anybody at the audience would love to see the platform in person, you can either do that directly on our website and get free access to the sandbox, or we can recruit Danny one more time to give you a personalized demo for your business as well. So you can.
Yeah, as you may have been able to tell, I enjoy doing the demo. I like doing
Absolutely.
it. It's fun. So I'm always happy to.
Great. So now is the perfect time to migrate to questions from the audience. We have about 10 minutes or so. So would love for you guys in the audience to start posting questions. Laura, if you can please let us know if you see any questions coming through.
Yeah, I'm happy to queue some of those up for you. Question, this is probably to Brian, is my guess. How do you determine reloadable cards, reloadable prepaids versus non-reloadable?
Yeah, sure. So that's actually a new feature inside of Adyen's fraud tool. So we pay for it's called Revenue Protect inside of Adyen. It's a relatively new feature that they launched in May.
Great. Next question. Oh, this is a long question. Let me see how I can make sure I read it all. Given that banks take into account a merchant's history through a particular payment processor when assessing risk and determining if a transaction should be declined, do you have a sense how this affected A/B testing between payment processors?
Yeah, so it's definitely, that is the risk of running an A/B test, I would say, is exactly that. I think you kind of have to judge your appetite for that risk. It's difficult to say whether a transaction would be more successful on another. I think, probably a sophisticated way to go about that is maybe trying a particular account on gateway A 1 month possibly, and then gateway B another month. That's not a perfect test by any means, but that is definitely a part of the risk, I would say, of doing that type of test.
Great, thanks, Brian. Our demographics are primarily students who like to use the pause feature for school breaks. Is there an ability to pause a subscription ahead of time based on specific dates?
That's a great question. I would assume that you might be able to either write in a process that would allow for that, but I would have to ask one of our engineers. Danielle, I'm not sure if you know that.
Yeah, Danny, I know we can delay the date on which somebody can be billed, so that's one way to do that. I'm imagining.
Great job,
yeah,
presenters.
Yeah, an interesting kind of a piece of info that's tied to that from us is we've done pause via Recurly for about a year now, and it's been very successful. We offer 1 month. At the beginning of COVID, we offered pause, but also if someone went through the cancel flow and were voluntarily canceling, we asked, would you like a free month? And we gave them 1 free month, and 90% of those people came back the second month and continued to pay. so that we've kind of had a mixture there since COVID, and it's been very successful.
Nice.
Yeah, and I didn't even get into our coupons that would allow you to do that, but our coupons are very flexible in terms of free months or trials and that sort of thing. So that's a great use case.
Are the Dunning emails white label? Can we add company logos and modify things like font color to properly reflect the company brand?
Yeah, absolutely. You're able to edit those emails fully in HTML. So it's essentially, the sky is the limit for the most part.
And that I would say is true not just to Dunning emails, that's also true to the hosted payment pages, as you've seen from Danny. Our idea is, even though you might be running those through Recurly, you still need to be representing your brand. And it also provides kind of a confirmation for the subscriber, for the end user, right, that they're not being rerouted to a fraudulent transaction, for example. So that's one of the reasons to do that.
Thanks. Somebody's provided some feedback that they love the reporting that was shown. So thank you guys for that. Just curious if Recurly reporting shows the success by retry attempt.
I guess a clarifying question, if that's even possible, is do you mean by like which number of attempts? So is it like the first attempt, second attempt, third attempt?
Okay, we'll see if we get that answer back in time.
I would say on our
end. It said the latter. What was it was whatever your second example was, Danny.
Okay, Brian, I don't know if you have a real world example of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we export the data. So from the analytics panel, there's an exports area, and we export transactions, and then you can actually see the individual transactions and retry attempts and the success of each of those. That's how we do it.
Yeah, and that would be my suggestion as the best way to go about that.
Another question's come in is the credit card tokenized when captured on the payment page?
So Recurly actually stores and vaults all of our credit card data. So Recurly is actually the one storing it and not receiving a token from the payment gateway. Happy to get more into detail on that, but that's the sort of high level of how it works, and that actually allows us to be able to do things like more advanced machine learning recovery, our gateway failover, and being able to seamlessly move between gateways. Great.
And I think that's the last question that I have, and so I'm excited to bring on screen John Egliolaro. If I said your name wrong, I apologize. John is one of our merchant board of directors, and well, I'll let you decide if you want to say who you're with or not. But John has been spearheading this innovation showcase, and I know he has some exciting information about what's coming up next. We can't hear you right now, John. Okay, nope, we still can't hear you. Can you hear me? But we can't hear you. Okay, then, well, that is John. He is one of our merchant board of directors, and don't you love technology glitches? And John has been working very hard as we kick this innovation showcase off, and we are very excited about the next two upcoming sessions that we have, so mark your calendars. And we have, well, you'll see it coming out from us shortly. Verify is going to be in for December. Flash me the date, John. What's the date in December?
December 1.
Oh, that's right. It's really close. That's right. December 1st. And then we have Ethica is coming up in January. So stay tuned for those. And it looks like I actually had another question come in. Oh, is there visibility into the reason for the auth decline?
Yes, I can answer it.
Sorry, trying to unmute. Yes.
And we review that in exports as well. We export it, and you can get pretty granular. And you also receive, what's helpful for us is receiving the reference ID to the gateway. So then you can pull if you need, if you can get more granular data from the gateway, you can then combine those reports.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Brian.
Beautifully done, everyone. Thank you so much for your attendance today. Thank you, our team from Recurly and Brian from Output. Brian, we hope to see you more at some of our additional Payments Ed events. We're excited to meet you. And again, December 1st, we will have Verify doing one of these innovation showcases. So look for emails coming from me shortly. And everyone, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.